What's good, peoples? About that time to randomly relate, reverse rants, no hate. So look, I'm gonna jump right into it. Now, I was watching a video. Um, it was with Anthony Joshua, and Anthony Joshua, when he did his the Black Lives Matter speech, and he was walking around. He was doing other videos. He had a brace like on his head, on his knee. I don't know if it's his knee, if it's his ankle, if it's but it looked the way he had it, it looked like it may have been a knee injury. Okay, um, I was thinking about some things. I know that Deontay Wilder's supposed to have a surgery on his arm. I don't think he did it yet. Um, but there was another fighter. I was watching a video. Some guys training, and I seen a guy in the back. I don't even know who that fighter was, but I see he had like his arm wrapped, and he was like with the other hand. He was just, you know. And I started thinking because I was just having a conversation too about fighters. The excuses that people make. We were talking about certain situations, but I'll say this, right? I just think this is interesting, man. It's common sense. Now, nothing complex what I'm about to say, but fighters get injured all the time. And often, fighters fight with some kind of injury. I know people say all the time. No, not all the time. A lot though. It's some kind of injury, okay, that a lot of fighters have. And they fight through it. They win. Sometimes even with the injury. Sometimes they lose because of the injury. Okay. You can be a construction worker, okay? And you can work every day. People know that you get it in, you hustle. And then one day, people can notice, like, nah, he's not himself today. Now, you might work for somebody that's understanding and realize, hey, man, we all human. You could be dehydrated. Things happen. You could, the same thing, have a migraine. Things happen, you know, um, to anybody, regardless to what your occupation is. But when you do something where you're in combat or like you're playing football or something like that, basketball, baseball, whatever, it's hard to focus. If you ever had a migraine, you guys know that it's hard. It's hard to actually focus when you have a migraine. So imagine trying to fight or with the migraine. I remember Michael Jordan played with the flu and wound up going crazy. I think he dumped like 54 points with the flu. Um, is it fair that if he has the flu again, that we expect him to do the same thing? Like, things happen, man. So with fighters, it's like people love to just say excuses, 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 as if there can be no truth to someone being injured. Now, the difference is when you come into a fight with an injury, you don't make it known simply because you don't want your opponent to know. Okay, because that's a weakness that he may try to exploit. Two, certain injuries are lingering injuries, and they never really go away, especially like with your back, your hamstrings. So if you make it known that you have certain injuries, a smart opponent is going to force you, try to push you to the point where you may agitate that injury all over again. So it's best to just now when you win with the injury and you don't make it known, when you lose with the injury and you do make it known, yeah, people are going to say, well, if you won, we wouldn't have heard about it. And I get that. Certain things just sound like BS though. And the thing about excuses is this: fanboys will say something is this and that, or this has happened, and the reason he lost because of this and that. The fighter is not even making that excuse. Even if he's making excuses, he's not making the same excuses that the fanboys are making. Yet, if it's on another fighter, it's like, oh no, well, because of this and that. An example is, remember before AJ fought Ruiz the first time, and everybody, including myself, was watching that fight, thinking, damn, AJ looks kind of, he seemed kind of off tonight. Before the bell even rang, just in his corner alone, he just looked, he didn't look right. Um, Deontay Wilder took off his mask, and people say it was blinking, and okay, that can happen because just Halloween alone. If you've ever had a Halloween costume on and you take a mask, yeah, sometimes it can like you're like whatever. You might have sweat underneath it, anything. But as far as it's like when it was on AJ, people were saying, "Nah, it's an excuse. It's an excuse." AJ never made any excuse at all. He never made any excuse. He just said the better man won, and he never ever ever said, "Well, the reason I lost was because." And then what you got to understand, a lot of people when they make videos, it's not the fighters labeling the video. You're being interviewed. If you guys ever watch Vlad TV, you've heard Lord Jamar get on Vlad and say, "Man, I don't like the way you word that video though." Because when you say Lord Jamar says blah blah blah, you make it seem like I came under, to attack someone. I was just answering a question that you asked, but you labeled it as if I was saying this, that, the third. And that's what a lot of people do. And I remember AJ had an interview where he was talking about anxiety and how sometime before fights, he never said that's the reason I lost. So for people saying, "Oh, AJ tried to make an excuse," or the AJ fans tried to make an excuse, I never heard anybody say the reason AJ lost is because something was wrong with him before the fight. Until we heard a rumor, maybe you can say rumor because it was never confirmed, that he was concussed before that fight in sparring, and that fight should have never taken place. Yeah, we can say, well, he should have called the fight off. Yeah, we can say that. And yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. Now, as far as people being pissed off because the fight's canceled and people came a long distance to see AJ and that type of thing, that all might have been on his mind. Also, his team would have been in serious trouble if they sent a concussed fighter in there. So, he's not going to bury his team. Now, whether that actually happened or not is irrelevant now. Not even on that. But AJ never ever made an excuse. Now, the excuse about the costume, it was too heavy, and I had leg complications coming into the fight and all of that. Those are the excuses Wilder made. Then we started getting, I heard Blue Blood talking about, oh, it was confirmed that somebody on Wilder's team poisoned his water and that there was a metal object found in Fury's glove. Yet there was no suspension. There was no ban from boxing. There was no conversation about this from nobody other than these fanboy channels that like to make up nonsense and lure you guys in to go hit that like button, to subscribe to them just so they can lie to you. Basically, I mean, nobody's heard any of this. So basically, Fury stood there and did an interview, took his gloves off, and nobody in that ring knew anything about a metal object. And basically, you never heard Wilder say anything about his water being poisoned. And if so, you don't think that person would have been fired, and the reason for being for the firing would not have that's criminal charges, man. You can't poison the person. That's if I go in a restaurant right now and somebody's not looking and I put poison in their tea, that's criminal. What I mean, and then you guys are making these stupid videos and you make your channels and guys are like jumping in, oh, because you want to be able to say, see, I told you something was wrong with Wilder. It doesn't make, George Foreman, when he lost to Muhammad Ali, he made a bunch of excuses, the same thing, that his food was poisoned, but it took years of George to grow up and come to terms with, man, look, the better man just won. And he said out of his own mouth, man, he was making all type of excuses. He couldn't just accept the fact he lost. So fanboys make up all these excuses. Look at Floyd Mayweather. They said Floyd Mayweather either fought guys when they were too young or when they were too old. So how the hell do you determine how young or old someone is? Like what their prime is? Oh, he's not ready yet, but 6 months and 2 days from now he'll be ready. So I better fight him now. They said he called Shane out when Shane was old. No, he called Shane out years before that. And Shane got arrogant. Oh, what has he done? He fight somebody else. He didn't earn a shot with me. And then Shane, you remember him and B-Hop hopped in the ring after he beat Marquez and challenged him and tried to steal his thunder, was disrespectful, crashing the man. Let the man celebrate. He just won the fight, And he asked for that ass whooping, and he got it. Okay? Canelo Alvarez, do you really think Oscar and them, do you think that these people put Canelo in there with Floyd because he was thinking the way that people was after the excuses because he lost? Do you think that let's give it a shot and let's just see what happens? No. They were confident All I kept hearing was how young and strong this guy is, how composed he is. He has such a professional approach to the sport of boxing. He's 40 plus wins, and he's only 22 years old. Wilfredo Benitez was only 17 when he won his first title, but nobody said that he was too young. Nobody said he was too green. Canelo had over 300 amateur fights. So everybody does, yeah, but it's different because age. No, stop that bull crap, man. You can't put a label and say this is what happens. Everybody develops at the same time, the same way. That's garbage. And then they're saying that Canelo would beat Floyd now. Shit, look, these are people who make up excuses because they want to see Floyd lose. They wanted to see Canelo beat him. There's people who didn't care about Canelo. They just wanted somebody, anybody, Pee Wee Herman, Howard Stern, somebody just beat Floyd Mayweather. Okay? Now, if you look at how people protect other fighters, example, now they said Floyd, now think about it. Let's look at the excuses. Let's keep the excuses going. They said Floyd fought guys when they were too old or too young. He waited to fight Oscar when Oscar got old, which is bullcrap. And Oscar was still good. Stop that nonsense. Oscar was still good. Oscar De La Hoya fought Manny Pacquiao. Okay, a year and a half after Floyd beat him. So he wasn't old when he fought Pacquiao? He wasn't old when he fought Pacquiao? I mean, Manny Pacquiao fought Ricky Hatton after Floyd beat him. Nobody called Ricky Hatton a bum. Nobody said Ricky Hatton was washed up. Nobody said, oh, he beat him easier than Floyd beat him. That was what people said. But they criticized Floyd for fighting Ricky Hatton. Marquez gave Manny Pacquiao wars, knocked him out. Floyd beat him with no problem. Oh, he was too small for Floyd. Okay, so he was too small for Floyd, but he wasn't too small for Pacquiao. Pacquiao wasn't too small for Floyd, though. I mean, the stupid things that people say. And then they make excuses as to what, why, and who did what. And look, all of those fights the fights that happened, and this happened, that happened, and they make excuses to a fighter that they want to win. But it's not to say things don't actually happen. Things don't actually happen. Like Deontay, as I said, it's better that when he does have that surgery, he know that he's 100% healed before he get in the ring, and then lose, and then, well, my arm was, because these things happen. They do happen. But when you make up excuses, and then you're saying, oh, but it's a reason for this guy because I like him. It's an excuse for him because I don't like him. This is what the fanboys do. And the fighters themselves, when they make up excuses. I remember Ernie Shavers, when he fought Larry Holmes, he got beat. He said, I was injured in that fight. And he guaranteed he'd beat Larry Holmes in the rematch. He got beat just as bad. Buddy McGirt, okay? James Buddy McGirt, he fought against Pernell Whitaker. Man, my shoulder was injured, man. You know this, that. Guaranteed he beat Pernell in the rematch. Rematch, he got beat worse. Now what's the excuse? Things happen. AJ never made an excuse for why he lost to Ruiz. Muhammad Ali never made excuses, man. Ali never made excuses. Ali lose. I'll be back. I shall return. He's not making excuses. I remember when Ken Norton got beat by Foreman. Joe Frazier got beat by Foreman. And I remember Ali was doing commentary. He was ringside and he said, I couldn't whoop Norton as fast as I am. George can't beat Norton. George ain't gonna be able to do this and that. Yeah, he beat Joe Frazier. He ain't gonna be able to beat Norton. Let me tell you. That's his opinion. That's what he thought. So now that Foreman steamrolled through two people that Ali had tough fights with, who thought Ali was going to win? People wanted Ali to win. People were scared for Ali. Had Ali lost, he wouldn't have made excuses either. Ali never made excuses. I never heard Ali make excuses, man. I mean, when Ali fought Sonny Liston, they put liniment in his hair, his gloves or something, and it got in Ali's eyes, and Ali panicked because hey, he can't see. You know, Dundee said, Ali said, hey man, cut the gloves off. This guy, he's fighting dirty. He put something in my, you know, I got something in my eyes. And Angelo Dundee said, he told her, hey kid, this is the big time. You don't cut no gloves off. He said he flushed his eyes out with as much water as he could and told him just run. And you know, once Ali's eyes cleared up, Ali battered the guy, made him quit in the corner. Well, again, now let's say if that fight would have ended, right? Like that, and Ali, let's say Ali would have got knocked out because he couldn't see. Or let's say Dundee cuts the gloves off. All right, we quit, man. The guy, you know, they would have said that Ali was lying. They would have said Ali was scared. He knew he couldn't beat Liston. That's why he cut the gloves off. You know, or Ali just couldn't beat Liston. He got knocked out. Everybody called it, and he lost. Angelo said he put, you know, his pinky in his eye. That he said it was really burning, like something definitely was on, you know, on this guy's gloves or his hair or something, and fight. You know, hey, people do dirty things. It happens. Mike Tyson bit Holyfield's ear, and people said, "Oh, it's because he was headbutting," because that's what Mike said. If you watch the fight, Mike was it was accidental, but Mike was the one. If you look, because Holyfield always turns. Like I always say, man, that's an old school trick that fighters turn their chin, so it's like here. So if you get something in, bam. It's not hitting the flush on the chin. Bernard Hopkins does that a lot. He ducks his head down, so when he throws, you don't have a clear target, as opposed to shooting your punch and this is open. And that's all he was doing. And I, like I said, I watched that Holyfield-Tyson fight at least 30, 40 times. Probably more than that. I mean, both fights. I mean, through the years, and I just watched these fights, and there was not one headbutt that you could say Holyfield initiated the headbutt. But because they wanted Mike to win, and Mike said it, that he headbutted him, Mike bit him because Mike knew he couldn't win. Mike just wanted to go out. Mike snapped. He bit his ear. Then he's pointing to it on the ground and laughing, and you know, and people applauded that shit, man. I said, nah, that's not only unsportsmanlike, it's like no class, man. Like Mike, come on, man, what are you doing? Well, what do you? And I remember that day, I just felt like. So yeah, the rematch again. I'm like, Holyfield tear his ass up, man. Like you a biter, man. Like, come on, man. What are you doing? This is boxing, man. What are you doing? And people made all kinds of excuses. Oh, headbutt. He's a headbutter. He's a headbutter. You know, they call Errol Spencer weight bully because of what people say. Floyd was the one who started that, calling. You know, I don't know if he was. I don't know if he was joking or he. You know, I think he just said it jokingly, even if he really meant it. But you know how many fighters through the history of boxing, and to this day they still do it? Do you think every fighter fights at his actual weight? A guy's fighting at 147 and you find out that he walks around about 170, 180 pounds. It's just more weight for him to have to burn off. You got guys that's fighting at cruiserweight that walk around 235, 240. And they're coming all the way down to fight at 195. He's not the first. He's not even one of the first. There's many people who's done it and still do it. But because he coined the phrase to call him a weight bully to Floyd Mayweather. And then all of a sudden, everybody jumped on that bandwagon. It's like in professional wrestling, right? When a wrestler calls someone something, like they call Jerry Lawler Burger King, because he comes out, Jerry the King Lawler, right? He comes out with the crown and all in his robe. And then because he was called Burger King, it becomes a chant whenever he would come out. They call him Burger King, right? Kurt Angle comes out, the crowd is going, you suck. That's just part of his you know, his aura. Like when he comes out, that's what they do. His character, they tie it all together. It's the same thing. He's a weight bully because somebody called him a weight bully. But the excuses that we make up, it really is not going to make your fighter win. It's not going to show improvement. It's not going to, when people make excuses. Look, right before a basketball game. And I'm talking about, I was lighting it up, boom, 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 point after point. We out there killing people, right? And right before a basketball game, I remember we was in the park, and we was out there practicing shooting around, and I'm coming around this table. Somebody, they pulled a picnic table out. Man, I banged my shin and like hit my knee so hard. That thing hurt so bad, man. But me being the kind of person I is like, man, Ooh, and I didn't say anything about it. I didn't even say anything about it. But you can see the big swell up on my shin and like my knees. It was just really red. Banged it so hard. I could not move the way I normally do. It was like it was a weird pain that I never felt before. So we out there, lighting it up. But I wasn't the same. You know, things happen. Things happen. Things happen, man. I was sparring one day. Felt fine. I don't know what I did to my left arm, but I just had a real bad pain all around here. Like 2 days later. And nothing in sparring, I wasn't getting battered. I don't know what happened. But I just remember, like, I was exercising, and every time I would shoot my punch, like I was pushing my hand out because it just felt weird. So when I was throwing my shots, and a lot of times before like a lot of times when I'm in the gym, um, I work out and then I stretch. But even though you stretch, you swell up. So when you're throwing punches, a lot of times you look tight. It don't look fluid. It just look real tight. Things like that. So people might see certain things and think like, oh man, you don't look the same today. But I mean, as far as you carrying injuries, no, that thing was bothering me for a while. I don't know what happened. It just was a pain. It just went away. I don't know what happened. So just because you go into a fight, pain doesn't just go away because you go into a fight. So yeah, there's many times a fighter jumps in there and he's not ready. He's ready, but mentally, but that injury is just still there. So yeah, I mean those things do happen, and I just thought that was kind of interesting to point out because we always have people talking about somebody's ducking somebody, and this is happening, that's happening, but a lot of times what you see, you're not there to get the inside scoop. So it may look one way, but then you may find out that you're wrong, and you may never find out. But at the end of the day, we're all human. It happens. And I think that we just get too caught up into just talking. And there's not much going on in boxing right now. And, like I even heard that Dylan White has won his appeal and that Tyson Fury is ordered to fight him before AJ. And I feel like that's fair, to be honest with you, because this guy has been overlooked for so long. So it should be that whether Deontay wins or Fury wins, that they either one of them, whoever wins, has to fight Dylan White. So basically, it's the right thing to do. And the excuses as to why the fight never happened is ongoing, and people, but it was because of this, it's because of that. Well, this one said this one said that, but things happen. So yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up about the excuses and the dodging and all of this stuff that people come up with, these false narratives and all of that. Just think about it, man. Anyway, that's all I'm gonna say on this video. I will catch y'all on the next one.